Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 413 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Here's a update on the Joker box office. The adjusted total is now coming in at a domestic opening box office, huge box office opening weekend of $96 million. Whoa! Whoa! So it actually was higher than the estimated from yesterday. It is indeed the top opening weekend of October, beating out Venom, which opened at $80 million. Now, the adjusted overall, the worldwide total is 248, north of $248 million. An incredible feat for a rated R film. And an incredible feat for a film that was widely criticized by critics, right? And it hasn't really stopped. It's crazy. I know I want to focus on the good stuff about Joker, but I gotta talk about this. It's absolutely insane. I mean, the amount of work that the media is trying to destroy this movie is insane. It's absolutely insane. And for anybody who has ever watched the movie, you know what we're talking about. I mean, there's headlines like, oh, people walked out of it. It was too much. And I'm like, have they not seen a rated R film? Like, have they not seen any other film that actually have mass killings and mass shootings in them? Like, what's going on here? And there was another article was like someone smoked or something, and that freaked people out, so they caused a ruckus, and there's undercover cops, and it's just absolutely pandemonium. It's just for the wrong movie. It really is just for the wrong movie. But I am happy that Joker is doing very well. It's got a great word of mouth. If you care about Rotten Tomatoes, I think the audience Rotten Tomatoes score is like in the 90s, so that's great. A B plus cinema score, lots of A ratings here and there. So fantastic job for Joker, and I'm very happy for this movie. This is a message to Warner Brothers that they should indeed not touch their director's films. If they get approval with the director to do something and everything's approved and they're ready to go with it, put that trust into the director and let them put out the vision they want to see. I mean, you got test screenings anyway, right? Just test that out. But this one worked very well. Very happy for it. It could spell something great for the DC Black label later on. I mean, I think that's the key. This is a great opportunity for other directors to get to make the films they want to make. And especially in terms of DC, we get to have films that are not connected to some shared universe, right? We get to have movies like Joker. Maybe the next one will be like I've kind of mentioned, Lex Luthor. Imagine a tycoon type movie, maybe like a Wolf on Wall Street or Social Network type of movie involving Lex Luthor. I thought that would be pretty cool. But they can play within the Gotham world as well. There's a lot of stories there that could be told. And why does it have to just stop there? Why does it just have to stop at smaller budget films about the villains? Black Label could literally just mean Elseworlds. Could literally just mean anything that is not within the canon or the shared universe, which is the DCEU. Meaning you can have a different Wonder Woman with her own Wonder Woman story. You can have a different Aquaman. You can have a different Batman, like the Matt Reeves' The Batman trilogy, which I still expect it to be also a standalone trilogy. It doesn't have anything to do with the Ben Affleck Batman universe. Or they could have Red Sun, Kingdom Come, all these great stories with different superheroes because of the multiverse idea, and that's for comic book nerds to look at it in a way to understand that. But for the audience and for DC film fans like myself, it's just a way to enjoy a variety of different types of DC films. It doesn't have to be all bright. It doesn't have to be all dark. There could be a middle road. there could be an artsy movie, there could be all these different types of movies, and we can enjoy all different types of aspects of the DC Comics turned into films, or even their own interpretations of these DC characters. And I think that's better than just being one shade, one tone. I like variety. I enjoy it. As you see, even in your own library, sometimes you like some horror, sometimes you like some comedy, sometimes, it's great to have all those different genres, subgenres within that one superhero comic book genre, which in this case it's DC films. So I'm very happy for Joker, and I'm very happy what this may actually trigger in a way, a domino effect of getting more of these types of films, and maybe even paving way for Zack Snyder, like an olive branch to Zack Snyder to come back within the DC films to make so he could make something that he wants to make, and and the studio will be open to that without meddling too much in what he's about to do, what he wants to do. So I think that is an insane deal, and I hope that actually happens for Warner Brothers and for Zack Snyder and for every other director that wants to get the film that he or she wants made. So that's awesome and great indeed. And just to this is a short video anyway, but just to get back to about Zack Snyder, he did answer kind of in a way, just his response to the whole New York Times Square billboards and stuff like that. And it was such a great thing yesterday and the other day. It was such a awesome moment for Snyder fans and for DC fans, DCEU, the OG DCEU fans. And it's great to see that he's still there. He still very much wants to champion it. But we do see an interesting trend in which a lot of people are kind of turning heads now, and a lot of people are noticing certain aspects of the Snyder Cut as well. One such person is Jonita Davis. I think I'm saying her name right. She wrote something that I thought was kind of interesting in regards to the amount of people, the amount of characters that were cut out from the Snyder Cut. And I'm going to read you this article. Well, I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick. But her article stands here, titled is, "Can the Snyder Cut prove whitewashing in the final cut of Justice League?" Now, she goes through the motions that with every new reveal that Zack Snyder drops another person, another character that's missing from the movie, a lot of the characters that were taken out, ripped out of the Justice League movie, were different racial people. So the first one was, of course, Kiersey Clemens. She was supposed to be Iris, and she was taken out of the movie as well. Karen Bryson, who was supposed to be Eleanor Stone, which was Victor Stone's mother, was also removed from Justice League as well. A huge chunk of Ray Fisher's cyborg story arc was also kind of removed away, taking out of the movie, as you know. So that was a huge bummer. Ryan Choi, which was played by Orion Lee, he was supposed to be the Asian Adam in the movie, and he was also removed as well. She kind of goes with Rick Famuyiwa, but I think he's the director to be for the Flash movie, so I don't know if that would be along the same lines. But you get the picture in this gist. And then of course, we know now that Martian Manhunter, Harry Lennox, was supposed to be in the Justice League, but he was also removed, even though he was in the other two movies. But his character was also removed from the movie. So in this article, she wants to suggest that they've kind of removed these people in a way whitewashing this movie. I wonder, those people who attack other movies and kind of just want to get attention to different films that have that whitewashing, I'm wondering if they would actually consider this and actually champion the Snyder Cut as well. Maybe they would come and look at this as, hey, look, there are so many POC characters and storylines just washed away to allow the major characters to shine through, as is said said in this article here. And so I thought I'd share that with you, and maybe this could reveal out to another segment of the fandom or another segment of the general public to realize that this cut is important. Its release is important with the aspect of getting more POC characters to shine. And I think that could be something that we could actually recruit other people in this movement as well. So that's a great article from, I want to say it's Juanita Davis. Now, the last thing I want to mention is something from Paul Shirey. Now, we've been getting a lot of people kind of just changing their tune about the Snyder Cut, and I kind of briefly talked about this, but he did go on a podcast today, and he kind of hinted and just kind of talked a little bit about the Snyder Cut, and I think you should listen to this segment.
One thing that I did want to, I know you loathe the Snyder Cut discussion, although we had a little talk before the podcast because I went to a place recently and heard some things that I can't really talk about yet. But we saw that Zack Snyder thanked the New York Comic Con folks that really made a big push to have a presence for Snyder Cut at New York Comic Con, and we've talked about that at length on this podcast, beat a dead horse on it. And I will say that in the last week, I've had a little bit of I don't want to say change of heart per se, because I've always known, or that there is a cut that exists. But I've found out, when you learn a few new things, kind of find out that, there's more than just rabid fan base support for it. So did kind of change my perspective on that. And we'll have a lot more to say about it later. But unfortunately, I can't divulge much more than that. But I will say that there are absolutely there's some psychopaths out there that are in the Snyder Cut fan base, but I think that the people that are doing the good work, I think, should continue doing the good work, and that's all I'll say about that. So, there you have it.
Well, okay then.
Chris does not want to talk about it. That is totally cool, but I did want to at least mention it. I'm actually just very, very excited to discuss all of that stuff. And I look forward to doing so. So stick around, follow the podcast.
So from that segment, you can kind of hear Paul Shirey just kind of very vaguely talking about that he went to a certain place, which we know now, Atlantic City, whether it's just for the Army of the Dead or was it for the Snyder Cut, who knows, but that he knows a little bit more. Now what's interesting is that he can't reveal anything yet. It's almost like he's waiting for something to happen. We may wait for a certain signal or the right time, and I'm not sure. I mean, if I'm looking at that and I'm listening to that, I'm like, well, when is the right time to write an article about a movie that a cut that doesn't exist? When is the right time to release an article for a movie that will never ever come out, right? So if you think of it in terms like that, and at least that's how I am, then that means there is a possibility that, of course, it's not going to exist, but there is a possibility that the movie will come out, and they're waiting for the right time to announce it to come out. Because if it wasn't to come out, then what's the big deal? Why not just release that article now? What is the big deal? So I think, in a way, and he said he can't wait to talk about it, and it really does make him change his tune a little bit, because he was not very much aware of the cut, but we're now to the cut to the extent that where Zack Snyder says it's done. He has a cut, it's done. So I think that's a great thing. But I also wanted to kind of just question, like, was he the only one that was invited to the set? Like, if this was an Army of the Dead set, you would start hearing hints and tweets hinting of other people that showed up, like Frosty, Steve Weintraub, or who's the other guy, the bird, Births, Movies, Death, or something like that, and other coming, Brandon Davis or something like that. But it was just Paul Shirey, I think, and maybe some other people as well. Who knows? But I haven't heard any hints of any other buddy there. So why was Joe Blow there? Why was a writer for Joe Blow the only one invited to see Zack Snyder and talk to Zack Snyder? Who knows? But the other people have also changed their tune as well. One is Daniel Alter. A lot of people don't quite care for him. Totally understood by that. But he is kind of someone also in the industry. I mean, he's a producer of some movies. Some of you may actually have heard of Hitman, for instance. And he was a co-founder of Heroic Hollywood and stuff like that. But he tweets a lot of different things about the studios and stuff like that. Huge Marvel fanboy indeed. But lately he's been a lot more appealing to the Snyder Cut. He was actually a lot more supporting the Snyder Cut, even though he didn't quite care for BVS, didn't care for Man of Steel. He did mention tweets like poor Zack Snyder and stuff like that. And so I've been kind of looking at his tweets here and there, because he did say that he learned a little bit about the Snyder Cut, and hopefully it will be revealed soon. So I think there is some sort of timeline, something in the future where something has to happen in a way, just to get some kind of announcement, and I don't know what that is, but I'm optimistic, because like I said, if there was nothing coming up, if it's nothing going to be released, then what is this magic signal, this magic time to release a certain announcement or article just to say that the Snyder Cut's not coming, right? I don't know. I may be just looking at this glass half full like I always do, and I tend to think that way, but it is certainly intriguing indeed how it feels like we're heading into the right direction. And like Paul Shirey said in that little podcast, that it seems to be doing good. It seems to be doing good, this movement, in terms of the billboards and all the stuff that the Release the Snyder Cut fandom and the movement, the people who were part of the Project Comic Con, the people who were part of New York Comic Con, all you guys and girls have done such an incredible job that it's taking a lot of notice, and I feel like it's the changing of the idea that the Snyder Cut will actually come out. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.